Welcome to FFTC Connects. Please welcome to the stage Brandi Jones, Executive Director of Angels and Sparrows.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brandi Jones, Executive Director of Angels and Sparrows, and I'm honored to have you here with us tonight at the FFTC Connects, Feeding Families and Growing Communities. It's wonderful that so many of you are here tonight to learn more about an important topic of food security, and that you are comfortable ensuring that families in our community have access to healthy, nutritious meals. Food insecurity is one of the most urgent and complex challenges our region is facing, and it's far broader than the headlines. Here in Mecklenburg County, more than 10% of our population, which is roughly 130,000 people, are food insecure. That's 1 in 7 children. At the same time, household expenses are outpacing wages. Families in our highest poverty zip codes spend at least 30 to 35% of their income on food alone, forcing hard challenges between food, rent, utilities, and healthcare. And while SNAP benefits have resumed, many families are still playing catch up. This small shutdown was something that destabilized a lot of households in our community that were already stretched thin, especially when an average SNAP benefit is $7 a day per person. Local food programs across the country, from food banks to community tables to mobile markets, are seeing a massive increase in demand as families are working to regain stability. Food insecurity is not just about hunger. It affects health, school performances, long-term earning power, and a family's ability to break the cycle of poverty. And it touches every zip code in Mecklenburg County, even some of the most affluent, like in the Lake Norman area. At Angels and Sparrows, we see these challenges every day, and we're stepping in to help. Our mission is simple but urgent. We nourish neighbors to open opportunities to greater stability through our community table and pathway education program. At our community table, families find a warm meal, groceries, and a welcoming space, but they also find hope, stability, and dignity. And what makes Angels and Sparrows unique is the intentional way we connect immediate hunger relief with long-term strategies towards mobility. Through our pathway program, we use a nationally recognized 2-generational model serving both the parents and the children. We do this through adult education, workforce development, tutoring, and mentorship. We believe that food is the starting point, but it's not the finish line. We meet them with a meal, but opportunity is what shapes their future. Every day we witness the incredible strength of the families that we serve. And when you choose to invest in an organization like Angels and Sparrows, we take your compassion and turn it into measurable impact. We have families that are improving their household income. We have children that are receiving academic gains. We have first-generation college students that are not just going to college, but earning that degree. So I want to extend a heartfelt thanks for all of you for being here tonight, for leaning into this topic, and also for the generous donations that you see on the stage. Thank you, because these will help us nourish and strengthen our families. And it is my honor to now introduce you to our panelists. We have Kristina Burke, the oncoming board chair for Carolina Farm Fund, Kay Carter of Second Harvest Food Bank of Metrolina, Janiqua Jackson, General Manager of Three Sisters Market, Lisa Mathews, Executive Director of The Bulb, and then it is my honor to welcome Cathy Bessant, the CEO of Foundation for the Carolinas. So please join me in welcoming Cathy and our panelists.
Thank you, Brandi, and welcome everyone. I'm really proud of the FFTC team, which helped lead the amount of food that you see on the stage that will be going to Angels and Sparrows. What we try to do as a set of committed leaders is not only treat our leadership and the role that we play as a job, but something that we invest our hearts and resources into as well. So you are seeing the very legit giving spirit of foundation employees, and I could not be more proud to work with our team of leaders. We call this, and thank you for being here again, if I haven't already said that, we call this FFTC Connects, and there's a reason for that. This is our 5th FFTC Connects overall, the 4th of this year. And our attempt here, and what we're really after, is doing what great community foundations can and should do, which is connecting donors with causes, raising awareness of organizations that maybe you don't see every single day, but that are doing such important work. We are growing in our attendance and enthusiasm from the public on these events, and we are just going to keep doing them. We have had 140 yes RSVPs for this evening's discussion. That is almost double the amount of RSVPs that we've ever had for any one of these, and the numbers continue to grow. So these things, starting forums like this, takes momentum. We are building momentum, and we will continue to stick to the mission, which again is highlighting important causes and important organizations and important donor opportunities as well. Little did we know, literally 6 months ago when we began planning the second half of the year cycle for these FFTC Connects, little did we know how important and how timely the food security, or maybe better said, food insecurity discussion would be. And while I would never choose the moments that we've had over the last several weeks, I would say that if we had to pick a very small, thin silver lining, it's that more people than ever before understand the issue and the real human impact of food security every day. So we have an important set of people to talk about. I was reminded, I do want to say one word or a couple words about the Carolina Theater. I was reminded as I walked in tonight when I was looking at one of the awards, architectural awards, that this theater has achieved over the last several months. And the caption on the award says, "New life for old places." And I think that's what we're doing here tonight, is having a dialogue that breathes the actual life into our theater and demonstrates what it should be and should mean to have a community asset like this. The renovation of this theater cost $90 million and was accomplished over more than 10 years with and due to the generosity of donors. So we are the Carolina Theater at Belk Place because the Belk family was our lead contributor to the renovation of this great space. I could go on and on to let you know by name the impact that our donors have had, but please know that this is a place that speaks of philanthropy because it comes from philanthropy. And I have the great opportunity every day to be a part of the team that helps execute on that vision. The other FFTC Connects that we've done, I think it's just important to highlight for just a second. The other FFTC Connects that we've done have highlighted housing, have highlighted mental health, have highlighted arts, and especially the emerging arts, and have also highlighted pathways to employment, technical term workforce development, but pathways to employment for some of the toughest parts of our community and sectors of our community to become employed. So food insecurity is a logical step and by far not the last. As I think about 2026, I think about things like youth mental health, right? and many other topics. So you'll see the QR code if you have ideas on other topics that you believe the foundation should be using these special connection moments to advance. Please don't hesitate to give us your feedback. That's why we're here as well. So I'm going to ask our great panelists a few questions. Then we're going to open it up to all of you for some audience Q&A, and please feel free to dive in and ask the panelists about the issues or their work that is most important and most compelling to you. So I'm going to start at the end of the row, and let's begin, everybody, by a couple of minutes on your organization. But as the audience gets to know you and your mission, I also want them to understand you as leaders, because it is both an organizational effort but real human passion that brings this to life. So what do you do and what brings you to this moment?
Going first, my heart just started racing. I wasn't ready. My name is Kristina Burke, and I'm working with the Carolina Farms Fund, and we're a program within the Conservation Fund. We're new to the Charlotte area, but the Conservation Fund is an organization that's been around since 1985. And has secured and conserved over 9 million acres of land across the 50 states. I might have to check my facts there, but I believe it's all the states. So as part of that program, the Carolina Farms Fund sits in the heart of the mission that they have. And the mission is to provide protection to land, but also provide pathways for economic viability in local rural communities. And so the Farms Fund here in Charlotte, the Charlotte region, we are connected to the surrounding communities. We're not just limited to Mecklenburg County, but the 14 counties that surround us, including 4 of those in South Carolina. And what we do is we provide a pathway of farmland ownership to next-gen farmers. So that's a quick preview of what the Farms Fund does and where we operate. And then how I got involved with it is I've been in the corporate life for quite some time, and I have always had a side hustle passion for food, water, shelter, environment. I think what's really exciting about being part of the philanthropic community in Charlotte is that we do things. We actually take action. And so I think a couple years ago, I started thinking about regeneration and the concept that Paul Hawken talks about, and it's bringing life into every action and decision. And that thought has been just kind of floating around, and I started to intersect with people who started to talk about what it means to be part of our food system and how it needs to be transformed. And those topics just kept bringing people into my life and subjects into my life that I wasn't really prepared to consider as part of my career going forward. But here I am. I left the corporate environment to join Tim Belk and some really great advisors on the Carolina Farms Fund to start preserving 5,000 acres in our Charlotte metro area and really provide a pathway to sustainable food production in Charlotte.
Thank you, and congratulations on the promotion. Be careful what you wish for, but thank you very much for being here. So, are you ready, Kay, to talk?
I guess so. So I'm Kay Carter. I've had the great fortune to be the CEO at Second Harvest Food Bank of Metrolina for the last 22 years. I tell people all the time that I have the best job in the world, and I really do mean it. Every single day, it's not a perfect day all the time, but at the end of the day, I always know that I've helped somebody when I go home. So no matter how bad the day was, it was still a good day for me and for the food bank. Our job is really to support nonprofit partners that feed the hungry. So we serve a 24-county region. We have 14 counties in North Carolina. We have the upstate of South Carolina. That's our other 10 counties. And our job is to provide food resources for about 950 nonprofits throughout those 24 counties. In our region, we have close to 500,000 people who live at or below the poverty level. The saddest part of that for me is 151,000 of those are children, and about another 50,000 are seniors. And so we provide food for those nonprofits, and we also run our own direct service programs. The ones that people are probably the most familiar with are our backpack program, which sends backpacks full of nutritious, ready-to-eat food home with children on the weekends. Our school mobile pantry program, where we go to high poverty rate schools and set up literal mobile shopping experiences for our families. Our senior box programs, all of those kinds of things we run from a direct service point of view. So we do kind of those twofold functions, I guess. We've been around since 1981. I have not been around since 1981. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But I've been around for about half of the time that the food bank has been in business, and remain happy to be there every single day. Appreciate you, Cathy, and Foundation for the Carolinas, and appreciate y'all being here tonight.
Thank you. Janiqua.
Well, I just want to echo first, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to provide a little bit of education about Three Sisters Market. So obviously my name is Janiqua Jackson. I am a part of, West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition. Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition is a local 501c3 and has been around for decades, servicing West Boulevard Corridor. West Boulevard Corridor is primarily zip code 28208, but also services a few others. West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition has been around and servicing West Boulevard Neighborhood, I always miss those up. You know, this is a word. Servicing West Boulevard Corridor for decades. However, has formalized their establishment in 2007 by incorporating. Then they were under leadership of Dorothy Waddy. Dorothy Waddy is one of our three sisters, along with Amy James and Lucille McNeil. Since 2017, under leadership of Ricky Hall, West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition has been out advocating and providing resources for the community of West Boulevard. Two monumental initiatives have come out of those to continue fighting food justice and eradicating food insecurity on West Boulevard. One being Seeds for Change. This is a half-acre farm that is open all year round until the snow comes. No snow. But this program offers a place for the youth between ages of 14 and 17 to come, obviously to feel safe and protected and loved, but also to give them life skills, teach them agribusiness, and again, continue on and being able to take something with them for their life. The second monumental initiative is why I'm here, Three Sisters Market, which is a food cooperative. Three Sisters Market is coming in addition to Seeds for Change because there has not been a full-service grocery store on West Boulevard for over 36 years. And that community has been suffering for over 36 years without access to healthy foods. And so why am I here? So in 1999, I started in grocery. In 1999 in Long Beach, California. And then I just needed a job. My parents had kicked me out and I needed a place to go, but for that you need some money. Although I have been attached to food since a young kid, remembering back now, if you all remember the child on the life box and the commercial that went along with it, they used to call me Mikey because I was the kid that ate everything. And so thinking about that, and then also thinking about my grandmother who has passed away, she was 102 years old. She used to always ask me if I had worms or tapeworms because I was just always eating up everything. And so my attachment to food, goes all the way back to when I was younger, but has followed me in ways that I could have never understood. But now, finding purpose in food, being in the grocery retail industry, but now turning my efforts to community has brought purpose to me. But also the impact that has been created is the reason why I stay here. So thank you again for the opportunity for being here.
Thank you. That's a great story. I'm going to call you Mikey, not Tapeworm. But the personal connection is so important. The work that all of you do is, I'm glad to hear you say rewarding. It's also a really big challenge. And so that passion and that commitment is what sustains you. Lisa, how about you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Mathews. I'm the executive director at the Bulb Gallery. So for those of you who aren't familiar, The Bulb, we are a mobile farmers market. Our focus is on bringing fresh produce into communities, underserved communities throughout Mecklenburg County. We have 15 geographies that we're serving right now, it's awesome to see the growth. I've been with the organization for 6 years this spring, in a leadership position for just about 2. Coming from a world that was in a more corporate sense in corporate public relations, and so wanting to leave that and come find something that did feel a lot more meaningful and a lot more purposeful. What kind of sets our service apart from maybe some of the others in town is that our focus is 100% on fresh produce. So whole foods, nutritious foods. We work with small to medium-sized farms in the Carolinas, purchasing at fair market value, so supporting local agriculture. And then also with area grocery stores. Costco, Trader Joe's, and Whole Foods are significant partners of ours. Last week, it was over 7,000 pounds that we picked up from Costco. And my incredible team brings it all in. We do our pickups, brings it all in. We have an awesome network of volunteers who sort through every strawberry, every broccoli, every lettuce, etc., that comes in to really ensure quality. Since so much that comes through from these grocery partners, it's a misconception to say it's not bad, it's not spoiled, etc. Sometimes things are over-ordered and the grocery store can't go through them fast enough. Sometimes there's some cosmetic damage in shipment. In a bag of apples and one got smashed, the grocery store can't sell the entire bag now, but the other 11 are absolutely perfect. So our volunteers come through and sort everything. What's not good anymore, we compost. We're at Innovation Barn, so we work with on-site composters there, and what is good, we're able to bring out into the 15 communities we serve in a choice-based model. So customers come barrier-free, no referral, registration, ID, or payment required, and they're able to self-select what items are most culturally appropriate for them, what items they know their kids like, what items that are just family favorites, while also trying to introduce people to new items as well. But that's our mission.
Thank you again. Kay, I'm going to start with you this time, not to be the quintessential moderator who moves down the row, but I'm coming to you first. We have 157 new residents in Charlotte every single day, in not just Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. You serve a lot of counties. Is the challenge getting bigger or staying the same? Is the need greater, tougher to fill? What are you seeing in the trend?
So I think right now we have a lot of things going on that are making it more challenging. And I'm sure unless you live under a rock, you probably follow what's going on in our environment right now. And so, I've been around a long time. 22 years is a long time, and I've seen a lot of things. And every time I see something, I think I'm never going to see anything any worse. So we had the recession in 2008, and I thought, well, that's going to be the worst thing I ever go through. And then we had COVID, and we thought, well, that might be the worst thing. And in between, we've had tornadoes and hurricanes, most recently Helene, which impacted, of course, Asheville, but also our service territory. Now we're in kind of a new playing field, which is interruptions to benefits. The SNAP getting interrupted has been a tremendous issue. To put it kind of in perspective for everyone, for every meal that food banks across the nation provide, SNAP provides 9. So to think that food banks can fill a gap like that was created with the SNAP interruption is just not realistic. We live in a very wonderful community, a very philanthropic community. I think Charlotte personally is the most giving community in the nation. I'm not totally objective because I'm from this region, but I know we have good people here who care. But it's just not realistic to replace 9 meals when you're doing 1. I don't care how good you are at fundraising. And so when we have those kinds of things that occur and we have cuts to our government commodities programs and things like that, it throws food banks and all of our partner agencies kind of into tailspins. You know, you have to start thinking, okay, how much food can we get out? How quick can we get it out? What's it going to take to make that happen? And it's just been incredibly challenging. So I'm going to hope one more time that this is the worst thing that I ever see. But it's been really challenging. And I don't want to talk too long, so you stop me if I do, but there are so many myths about SNAP, you know, that need to be dispelled. The primary one is that people who are on SNAP don't work. That is not the truth. 80% of people nationwide receiving SNAP are working. They're just not making a living wage. And, you know, you can't support a family on what our current minimum wages are. You know, hunger is caused by poverty. It's because people do not have enough money to take care of the basic needs that they and their family have. Another great myth is the number of kids. You know, there are about 50% of the people on SNAP are children. You know, now, children can't work. So they don't have an option, you know, in that. And so, you know, when I read the things that I read, I feel compelled to kind of set the record straight because we don't always get all sides of the story. And so, you know, my recommendation for anyone that is interested in the hunger space is to educate yourself about what the real realities are, and to read and to try to understand that things are not always as they appear.
Janiqua, what about you? I thought it was really important that you mentioned 28208, right? And for many people, it's a path to the airport, your zip code. Talk a little bit about the unique needs you see and the role that you feel like is important for Three Sisters Market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 28208, from my perception, is and has been an underserved community. And so there are many needs that are in that specific area. Some of them are transportation, housing, displacement, but the one that we're addressing obviously is food insecurity. Three Sisters Market, by model, the basis of it is a grocery store. But Three Sisters Market actually fosters a lot of other values that would combat those issues that I referred to. Ownership is something that we teach at Three Sisters Market. Teaching ownership puts value back into neighborhoods. A lot of times, and again, this is from my experience traveling and being in different cities and states across the country. I think that, you know, one of the places where we suffer, again, is the educational portion of it. We talk about displacement, food insecurities, we talk about these things, but education, I think, will lead us and is a pathway to us eradicating a lot of these issues. If we understand more about how to place value, we can stop displacement. If we understand about taking care of ourselves, and again, stop me because I'm gonna get on the soapbox here, but you know, having less of a consumer mindset, being more self-reliant. If you imagine a community that took care of itself and made systems and programs that were able to take care of themselves, to depend only on your community and not have to depend on government assistance and things of those nature, I think that we could, you know, get away from the discussions that we're having right now. But that's what Three Sisters Market is. It's a collective cooperative where we put our heads together, you know, a little bit of finances, but mostly put our heads together to provide education so that we can level the playing field.
Lisa, thank you. And by the way, you all are here because the soapbox that you're on could not be more important. I sometimes I struggle with the concept of food insecurity when what we're talking about is fundamental human hunger, right? I love good 3-syllable word. Those of you who know me know that. This is real, hardcore human hunger. And so be on your soapbox all day long.
Thank you, because I'll get back on it.
Lisa, I'm going to come to you. You have a very interesting model for how you think about what a farmer's market can and should be. It is both a give and contribution model as well as an acceptance of the gift and the provision model. So talk about the vision of what a farmer's market can be in this whole ecosystem that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think it actually goes a lot to what's being said in terms of community care. So we know in terms of food, there is not a shortage of food, it's getting food. It's a logistics issue of how we're getting food to the right locations. So in our work, from small to medium-sized farmers in the area and how we're bringing that into underserved communities who may otherwise not have access for a variety of reasons, whether it's transportation, income, etc. And then also working with grocery stores in terms of maybe not being accessible in an area and knowing that there's a lot of waste that goes on and how we're able to not only divert that to support communities, but also in terms of environmental sustainability. But bringing that all in, ensuring that communities are able to access that fundamental need of food, and not just food, but high quality, nourishing food that you feel good feeding yourself, but feeding your kids, feeding your whole family in a really choice-based model, and how that looks in terms of community care. And when we're setting up markets, we say community-led, community-fed, or give what you need, or take what you need, give what you can. And those models are just really focused on understanding we're going into these neighborhoods at the, not just the need, but the request of community leaders who have an ear to the ground, who know that this is what is going to resonate, this is what the community is looking for, versus it's not me saying that this is a need. And then the collective care that we're able to emphasize when we're serving at the markets, and understanding that you are one family, there are 106 other families here today that are looking to be served as well. We want to serve everybody as equitably as possible, and our operations team does a significant job putting that forward, that experience for everybody to shop. But yeah, just having that kind of care and respect, and understanding that we're all here to take care of each other. We're all building towards that, and the resource that we're providing is one of many that are just looking at that collective impact on a community.
Thank you. Kristina, one of the really special things about the Carolinas Farm Fund is you were founded on a model of sustainability and the creation of a circular ecosystem, and this notion of community resilience and its relationship to not only what you're doing, but how you do it. So how about a few words about that?
Sure. We have a model that is called Buy, Support, Protect, and Sell. So our plan is to help farmers that have the number one challenge of getting access to land to grow their farm businesses. So what we do is we collect philanthropic donors that have access to capital who want to invest in this model. And we take it, and let's say Kay here has $1 million. And she says, I want to help this model. And we say, okay, great, Kay. We're going to go out and we're going to look for some land and a farmer to match with it and purchase that land on behalf of the farmer. They're going to be in a lease with an option to purchase at the end of those 3 to 4 years. And while they're in our program, we're going to provide them support. So they're in think of them as being in a ramp-up period of expanding on their business. So, excuse me. So let's say they're going from maybe a couple acres of production and they're trying to grow to 10 acres of production in those 3 years. So we'll help that farmer with infrastructure, with hoop houses, with getting connected with extension agents, whatever they need to be a really successful business. And then what we'll do is we'll work with partners in land trusts to get an agricultural easement placed on that land. And so now that $1 million property can actually be reduced, because it's restricted use into agriculture, will now become around half that value, which is around $500,000, and a lot easier for that farmer to purchase. So at the end of their lease, they have an option to buy the property. And when they do, they've actually had this incredible period of incubating their business, and they become less risk to a lender. They've already produced food from that particular piece of property. It's a low risk. We can see their business model, their patterns. We've helped them get their finances and their financial reporting in order so that they're a desirable candidate for that mortgage. So when they purchase that land, the monies that come in from that transaction will start to be directed to the next farmer. And so you can see how this flywheel happens, that as we get farmers into the system, they'll grow with us, they grow their business, it produces more food, more scale, more local nutrient-dense food. I think that's one of the things that ties what we do directly to what we're talking about tonight, is any kind of food is not actually sustainable and healthy. It's food that has nutrient-dense qualities and value that really help our community stay healthy. And so that's how the flywheel works.
I think that's great. And I think all of us in the philanthropic sector, that concept of the flywheel and the creation of momentum, and that momentum not only creating momentary improved outcomes, but permanently improved outcomes is what you're really talking about.
If I can add one more thing, since Kay generously gave us that $1 million, her money, as it goes through our model, will have a 2.4, it'll cycle through actually almost 3 times within the period of use. So it's a gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Kay.
My pleasure.
I love it.
All right. What I'm going to do, I'm giving the audience a little bit of notice. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to come to ask all of you to participate and help lead this dialogue by asking your questions or talking with this incredible panel, as you've already figured out, about what's on your mind. As I do that, maybe a couple of comments. Anyone jump in here. What is the role of the educational system in the work that you see every day? And by that I mean, truly, what's the role of schools in what you see?
I can say from a personal experience, so we have a market that we run twice a month at Garinger High School. And through a partnership that we have with the CTE program, we've been able to collaborate with students. So we actually have students within the culinary CTE program coming out every Wednesday morning and serving alongside our volunteers for their community members. Being part of the culinary program, they're learning about the produce items, they're learning some about the nutrition behind it, and seeing that face-to-face interaction that they're able to have is just one small bit of, I think, a much greater story that's possible, with greater support of what kids are interested in learning about and having that impact. At the end of last school year, these students gave presentations about what they learned, and it wasn't just us that they were supporting in this, but overwhelmingly they all said that serving with the bulb was their most exciting part. They loved coming outside, they loved talking to the guests, they loved the service aspect, they loved seeing so many different fruits and vegetables that were available. And so, yeah, just that excitement is really telling of what's possible.
Yeah, very important. Janiqua, what do you see in the schools?
So for us, we're a grassroots organization, and a lot of the work that we do with students are mostly college students, interns, and then also our Seeds for Change program, which we run into a lot of students and youth. The most exciting thing that I see is the joy and the passion through these students. When I was 18 and when I was 19 years old, I do not know that I was that smart. I do not know that I was, thinking in the ways and the thoughtful ways that they are, thinking and being socially responsible But when we talk about food deserts, Elliot, my executive director, is here. We visited with UNCC, the college students, and they pitched some marketing proposals to us. And just the thought and the care and the intentionality that went into the research that they did, just understanding what a food desert is, understanding what a cooperative is, even though there's none in Charlotte. That to me, I think, motivated me even more. But to know and to understand that there are youth thinking about this and wanting to make impact, for me, it excites me. It really, really does.
Okay.
So our connection to the schools maybe is a little different from the other ladies that are seated here with me. You know, our focus around the schools has largely been the sooner that we can get high quality, nutritious food to our children, the better they're going to learn and the more successful they're going to be in life. And so programs like the backpack programs that start as early as pre-K and move all the way up through high school are kind of critical links to make sure that those children come to school on Monday prepared to learn. Our school mobile pantries was kind of an extension of that backpack program. We said, okay, we're helping that child. We know that child is eating over the weekend, but what about the family? And so we broadened that backpack concept to the school mobile pantry program, where we go to different schools every night of the week, Monday through Thursday, 52 weeks a year, all over our region, but highly concentrated in the CMS schools. And we go in there and we provide about 50 pounds or so of groceries for that family for the week. And it's not just boxes and cans. There's nothing wrong with boxes and cans. We all use those, and we try to make those as nutritious as we can. But what we're very focused on at those school mobiles are fresh produce, meat, whole grain breads, eggs, dairy. So it's more like what you would buy for your family when you're out shopping for your own family is what we're trying to provide for those families. Our senior box programs, similarly, trying to keep our seniors out of institutional care. No one wins when a senior goes into institutional care. We all pay more for that. We know we can do a much more cost-effective job of keeping seniors in their homes, and they want to be in their homes. They don't want to be in institutional care. And so for us, focusing on those kinds of basic programs that keep children ready to learn, seniors as healthy as possible, and of course we welcome, our students to come and volunteer. We have students of all ages that come to the food bank and volunteer. I'm convinced, obviously my generation is not going to solve hunger. I don't think that that's possible. But what I do think is possible is that the new generations can solve it. And they're solving it in really creative ways, like we're hearing on the stage tonight. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to hear all of these great stories.
Kristina, anything to add?
Ours is more of a relationship with higher education. In the Atlanta region, the Atlanta market was the original place where the Farms Fund started. And they had, it came out from a request from Emory. And so Emory, their executive leadership sat down and said, what are some of the big ideas for the future of our health facilities and also our university? And as they were thinking, one of the big ideas came out was we want to purchase about 75% of fresh local food for our system, for our whole entire ecosystem. And they were at around 45% at the time. And so when they came out with this idea, and they had no way to figure out how to get that distribution network to get that fresh local food into their stakeholders or into their clients and customers and students. And that's where the Farms Fund came in, or the Conservation Fund came in and said, hey, listen, we've got a solution for that, and let's try this out. So we are going to replicate a similar model here with building our farm network in the Carolinas, and partner with local universities like Davidson, Wingate, University of North Carolina in Charlotte, Queens. We've had lots of conversations that have interest, so as we're building up that farmer pipeline, we can also provide direct access to local fresh food for those institutions.
That's great. How many of you are, show me how many of you are learning new things tonight? Yeah, massive appreciation for all of you being here. As we turn it to our audience for questions, we've got a couple of folks helping us with microphones. The reason that we're using microphones is you may think you don't need them, but I promise you, you do. And if you don't use one, not even probably our panelists will be able to hear you in this big acoustically terrific, but nonetheless large space. So please raise your hand and we'll give you a voice in the form of a microphone.
Is it on? Oh, yes.
Sure is.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you for what you do. I'm curious how you measure your success.
And I'm going to ask everybody to answer this one. How do you measure your success? Great question.
Oh, I guess I'll go first. I think it's in a lot of different ways that we measure success. When I look at the trajectory of when I started at the Bulb to where we are now and how we are continuing to evolve the service that we're offering communities. We're going into more and more geographies at the request, of residents, of community centers, of centers of faith, et cetera, and the relationships that we're building, more families served, more pounds of food being distributed, greater points of education that we're being able to offer community members. So they're being engaged with produce items that they may not have, wanted to try or have thought they didn't like before. We do a survey twice a year that's much more in-depth, optional, but a lot more in-depth than our usual data collection. And just hearing from guests through that, do you find our service to be accessible? Like a 96% success rate in that. Have you tried a new fruit or vegetable? Have you tried a recipe that we've offered? Has the Bulb supported better health outcomes? Have we helped manage symptoms that you're dealing with from a physician that you're working with, et cetera? And so seeing that feedback is kind of a accumulation of all those points and determining what success looks like and how we're able to continue growing, going back, serving more people, whether it's an emergency need, whether it's a chronic poverty situation that they're dealing with. So it's a lot of things put together, but seeing that success kind of continue through my tenure with the Bulb has been really, really incredible.
That's great.
So in the work that I do, so West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition is a nonprofit, but Three Sisters Market will be a for-profit once it is open. But there are key drivers in this underserved community that West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition tries to focus on. And you can see the tangible evidence of those within those community. When you talk about resources and you talk about things like churches, things like greenways, things like bus stops, being able to communicate clearly and here's some resolve from things like the airport that we talked about, making sure that the streets are, accommodate and there's accessibility. Those are the ways that we can measure. The biggest thing for me that always touches me is being able to step back and actually see community building. Those things are what we're striving for and what we're here for. And you could actually see those if we take our heads out of the sand for a little while and stop working. But you can't see those when you drive, when you drive in the community, but then also just when we're out. Once the store opens, obviously we'll have some data and numbers that we can measure success with when that's open.
Kay, what would you add?
Well, we measure an awful lot of things at the food bank. I could probably take a lot of time, and I'll try not to. But clearly we're focused on the number of meals that we provide, but we're also focused on the quality of the meals that we provide. So, for us, we distribute somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 million pounds a year through all of our partner agencies and our direct service programs. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that just shy of 60% of that is fresh produce, meat, and dairy. And those are items that the folks in the community most need to stay healthy, but can least afford to purchase. And so we've been really laser focused on that, building our relationships with our hospital systems. We now work with Novant, Atrium, now Advocate, to provide food boxes for people that are being released from the hospital, that are nutritionally balanced, that their dietitians work with us on, so that when the person goes home, they're not going home to a house with no food and ending up back in the hospital. So we're very, very centered around health type factors. But of course, we want to know how many people are we feeding, how much food are we feeding to each person, that's getting helped. We also measure volunteer hours. That's a very important thing for us at the food bank. Our food bank, out of 200 food banks nationwide, is in the top 5 in the nation in the number of volunteer hours that are donated. Last year, it was somewhere around 337,000 volunteer hours that were donated to us. Why is that important? It's important because every one of those volunteer hours saves money, that we don't have to pay staff, that we can turn around and feed more people with. So we're very focused on things like that, efficiency measures, making sure that when you're giving to the food bank, you can feel good and know that virtually everything you're giving is going to feed somebody and not going to a really high overhead. So we're very focused around those kinds of things.
Great. I love the food as medicine
Yes.
concept. That's fantastic. For us, we're really in the early stages of measuring. So we have 2 farmers. The one farmer is going to be submitting their annual report to us, so we'll see how successful they are against their business plans and goals. But acres under production and then acres conserved or preserved, protected, will really be the benchmark for what we're looking for. When we have more ag land that's permanently conserved, that means we'll be able to produce more food for a longer period of time in our area.
Great. Other questions?
When do you anticipate the Three Sisters Market opening, and what will it cost to be part of the cooperative?
Great, thank you for those questions. Currently, right now, we are in the approval stage in the city to be able to break ground. We are set as of right now to break ground first quarter of next year. From that time, it will take between 9 and 12 months to fully build. I'm sorry, what was the second part? Cost, great. Three Sisters Market, to become a member owner, so you'll be an owner of the business and actually share in equity of that business, is only a one-time $100 fee. We take installments to be able to make sure that everybody is able and has the ability, and we also have some scholarships that are set up for those who are unable but want to join us along on our journey.
That's impressive. That's accessible for everybody. Kelly, did you have a question?
Thank you for all that you do. I'm a big volunteer person. I've got 80 hours this year. I'm trying to get 20 more by the end of December to get my second grant. I only know about one organization up here, Second Harvest, and Nourish Up. I drive for Meals on Wheels, but how can we help the small? I've never heard of the bulb, so how can I help you without having to go doing my research? What do you need from us to help me get my 20, but to also help you to the end of the year?
Oh, excellent question. To say we are a small organization, but we have a staff of 8 people. So we are small considering we're serving 15 geographies, equating to, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 markets we're hosting a month, something like that. So going out into all of these different communities, January through the end of Q3, I think we've distributed somewhere in the neighborhood of 315,000 pounds of fresh produce, free, barrier-free to the community. And so that said, volunteers absolutely power the work that we do. We have opportunities 6 days a week. We host markets 5 days. But in terms of helping sort through produce, serve at markets. It's shut down now for this season, but we do have farm space as well, so volunteer opportunities there. So I would definitely point you to our website where we have our volunteer platform. And then honestly, now more than ever, probably in my 6 years with the organization, donations make all the difference. And that's to say, whether it's $10, $100, whatever it is that is a meaningful amount to any community member is a meaningful and very significant amount to us in terms of collective impact, which I spoke a little bit about before, more from a community perspective. It's the same thing from a funder-donor perspective as well.
Kristina, anything you would add? Because your model is a little bit different from some of the others. So
a little different.
How can people sitting in this audience impact your work?
Aside from the donations and gifts, we encourage you to shop our markets. Go to farmers markets. We have amazing markets all across our region. If you're an Uptown Market fan, visit Deep Roots CPS Farm with Cherie and Wisdom Jazar. They have wonderful products, a signature product, black garlic. Everyone needs it and put it into their Christmas, Thanksgiving, holiday, whatever you're celebrating dinner. That's probably the fastest way to access and help our farmer community.
Three Sisters Market is a volunteer organization as well. If you need that 20, call me. Oh, you're saying a lot of things that I like. Please, absolutely. So Three Sisters Market, literally social media, or if you're active, we would love for you to join us in our community engagement and be an ambassador for us. So loads of ways.
So volunteering, charitable giving, and you just added advocacy into the mix.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's been so long now, I forgot what the question was. I know you were trying to get 20 hours. We're talking about volunteering. Well, that's fantastic. Right, and you know, the wonderful thing I think about Second Harvest is we have 950 partners. And I kind of describe us as the Sam's Club. We're sort of the great big, giant warehouse that feeds down to all of the emergency pantries and soup kitchens and shelters. And so our whole business model is really rooted on small organizations. And so volunteer for them too. If you want to come volunteer for the food bank, we'd love to have you anytime. We have volunteers every day of the week except Sunday, and multiple opportunities. But find something that you're passionate about and volunteer. The important thing to me is that you care about the hunger space and that you care that people in our community don't have enough to eat. I'd love you to, donate to Second Harvest, but I would equally love you to donate to my friends on the stage and to our 950 partner agencies, because without them, we wouldn't get anyone fed. They're the ones that are literally dealing day to day with the clients. And so we're grateful for anything that you can do to help us, but to support our partners as well.
Great add to the discussion. I'm going to add one myself, which is I can guess why all of you are here. I know, and we've heard from these leaders why this is important. I think denial has to end with us. Advocacy, there are people in our community who do not yet believe that we have people who are hungry every single day. And so part of this is arming you with facts, arming you with opportunities, but also tossing it out there that the denial that this is a real issue is part of what I think we have to be all about. This is not someone else's issue. It's our issue. So if I'm adding in, I guess I would add in accountability as well for all of that. Other questions? Thanks, Cal.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. As leaders and visionaries, and in light of the recent SNAP benefits and the like, how do you all see the opportunities for collaboration or just improving a localized supply chain amongst yourselves or amongst the 950 partners that were mentioned? But how do we alleviate that pressure and really create that opportunity locally to ensure that communities are fed?
What do you think the role of collaboration is?
For the bulb, one aspect of collaboration is growing our grocery partners. To say that there are a lot of grocery stores located within Mecklenburg County. We work with 4 of them. So the more that we're able to bring into the fold and really make sure that food that is still really high quality, maybe not saleable for whatever of a litany of reasons, instead of being going to the landfill, that we're able to divert it into communities in need is one. And then 2, we actually do partner with Second Harvest. We work with their mobile pantry at 4 times a semester at CMS, Title I CMS locations. And so the awesome 50 pounds that Second Harvest brings out and serves families within that school community. We also are able to collaborate with our market, usually bringing around 8 to 9 locally sourced produce items that we're able to just build and really ensure that the families that are able to shop that night go home with a super robust variety of items that it runs, from chicken and grains to broccoli and habanero peppers and, all of that. So.
Well, actually, what I hear you saying is it doesn't work without collaboration. Kay, you made that point. Janiqua, you made it. Kristina, anything you would add there?
It applies across the board. I mean, the food system is complex, and there is everything from availability of physical product all the way to distribution, consumption, and waste management. And we rely on partners every single day, even just to be aware of farmland that's going to be sold or a farmer that's being asked to leave their land. We rely on our partners to tell us what's going on and hoping that we can help and be part of the solution.
Yeah, I really love what you're all saying collectively, which is it isn't fragmentation, it's collaboration, and you just said it very well. It is a beginning to end of the dialogue, not simply about the meal, importantly about the meal, but not simply. It doesn't happen without that collaboration. Anything? You looked like you were ready, Janiqua.
I will be. I will. So co-op is cooperation, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's collaboration. Three Sisters Market is built on collaboration. What Three Sisters Market will mean to this community as well is that this is an anchor in the community. This is an economic driver in the community, and in those ways, we are fostering relationships not only with the community to provide jobs and so that they can come in and actually operate the store, but also with our local farmers to keep money circulating, farmers and vendors and producers, to keep money circulating within our local community. And in those ways, we empower and we continue to drive the same economic system that you're talking about, but the only way we do it is through collaboration.
Yeah, I think one thing that is so compelling about the conversation that we're having, but also about the way that you're talking about it, is this notion of, I'm not in very many environments where someone says, if you don't give to us, give to someone else sitting on this stage. If your volunteer hours aren't with us, just volunteer. And I would hope for not only donors, but for the community at large, that knowledge of this work being based in collaboration versus a zero-sum game is really, really important, and it's a really great question. How about another question?
Good evening. Understanding the growth or the need for people facing food insecurity in 2025, I'm just wondering, what does 2026 look like?
Well, I think you're looking at it on the stage. we're all out here working very, very hard to combat exactly what you're talking about. The unfortunate part about this work is that it takes time. It takes buy-in, it takes money, capital, but then also all of these pivots, they make us adjust. And sometimes, you know, that adjustment knocks us off a little, or takes us off track, is what I'm saying. But you're looking at 2026 right here. All of these ladies that are sitting with me are out here doing wonderful work in 2025. So, I mean, just for me, you say, what does it look like? I mean, it looks pretty bright from where I'm sitting.
Any other thoughts?
If I can, I think I might have mentioned that the Charlotte region is losing an acre of farmland an hour. And so I think for 2026, the hustle is on. And this problem, and you've heard each of these organizations, they need nutrient-dense food. And so that comes from local production. And so we have to hustle. This is 2026. The pressure just is going to continue to grow. I'm really excited that we have a solution that we can act on, and we're not just thinking about it right now.
So 2026 is about hustle. It's about not wasting one single moment, is what I hear you adding into the mix. All right. Is there one more question from the audience? Then I've got one question for our panel, and we'll wrap. One more question from the audience?
So this member owners with Three Sisters, how many member owners do you have? Will you continue to get member owners after you open?
So let me do this real fast. This is my team over here, y'all. This is the Three Sisters Market. Ricky Hall, who I mentioned before, my board chair guy. That's my executive director, Elliot there. Jeff Shelton, love you, board member. So we are at 520 member owners, which is amazing, with a goal of 1,000 before opening. So we're well on our way. I'm super, super excited about this. This member ownership will never die. We will continue collecting member owners even after, because the spirit of member ownership is what we want to continue to build and empower our community and build community through member ownership, so it'll never die. I'm sorry, Elliot, did you ask me one more question, or was that was okay, thank you.
All right. I think you've been so impactful in terms of describing the need, the multitude of solutions, the importance of money and people, the importance of sustainability and the whole ecosystem, all just so compelling. What is your source of hope? I'm going to ask each of you your source of hope.
I love this question, and so I'll step out here. So my favorite answer to this question, because I've heard it before, is hope.
Wait a minute, I'm not original?
I take it back.
Yep. Nope, go ahead. I thought of it myself. No, really, super important. Source of hope, beacon for donors.
So hope brings me hope. And the reason why I say that is I feel like sometimes, hope is a big word. And when we're out here, we're working and we're just moving along, and I'm sitting underprivileged myself, but when we're privileged to have things like food, when we're privileged to have things like clothing and safety by housing, we don't think about hope. I was raised up in church, and faith was the word that we used. And we were taught, have faith of a mustard seed, and everything's going to be okay. But also what happens is when you're out there and you're in the thick of it, you're not thinking about that mustard seed, are you? So in my current day, when I see and hear people with hope, that gives me hope. So that's my answer.
Kay, that's very powerful. Kay.
I should never follow you, really.
Yeah, right.
So I've been at this a long time, and I think our community is what gives me hope. I meet people every day, just like many of you that are sitting in the audience that really care. Every time we have a crisis in our community, I am astounded by the way the community steps up. I'm astounded by the young people that step up. I'm just in general amazed at how many people out there really do care. And I think we need to translate that into advocacy work. You know, Cathy brought that up earlier, and I think that's a way that everybody can help. If you care about people that are hungry in your community, educate yourself around the issue and talk to your local politicians, to your state politicians, to your national politicians, and let them know that you care about people who are in need. Let them know that some of the things that they're doing might not be the best for people in need in our community. And so I think just knowing how giving Charlotte and beyond is, it gives me hope. Otherwise, at my age, I wouldn't still be running around 80 hours a week like I do at Second Harvest. I'm at an age now where I could probably be out, I don't know, doing something besides working 80 hours a week. But I want to still be working because I care that much, and I can't imagine what I would do with myself if I wasn't feeding people every single day. And so you all give me hope. The fact that you're here tonight, the fact that Cathy set this up, just reinforces for me what a remarkable city we have and a remarkable region.
Kristina, your source of hope.
So what gives me hope is the collaboration and the environment that we're in Charlotte. You hit it straight on. It's an incredible community. The next level of hope to me comes from our next generation farmers. These are individuals who know farming is hard. They've heard it's a really rough business, and yet they choose to grow food for our community and be part of a solution. So our next gen farmers are my hope.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you can see from the nodding heads in the audience, people agree. Lisa?
I think it would be the anecdotal stories that I hear throughout the week, throughout the day, whether it's out at our markets and talking to guests and hearing the impact that we're able to have directly on that specific family and the appreciation and the community that's felt in that, and our volunteers. And to say that we have volunteers who show up every single Tuesday for the past 3 years. They come, it's become part of their routine, and it gives them purpose to be able to give back to the community and just what we're able to create together in that. So it's a lot of these anecdotal stories all pulled together that give me so much hope for what's to come.
I think these messages are so important. Hope is a strategy, you're saying. The strength of our community and the generosity when the need is in front of them. The future of the next generation. And then the real life experiences that you see that create personal and organizational and community momentum. I will tell you what my source of hope is. And I was wondering myself how I would, when I started this discussion this evening, I was wondering what my answer to that question would be. And then I see these leaders. And my source of hope is these leaders, the boards and staff that work with them and support them, the fact that you all came to hear this discussion, this is why I have hope. I'm really proud to work for a foundation that does believe that part of our mission is to connect important, impactful causes and needs with people who can be important and impactful. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to all of you for the work that you do and the time that you've shared and the insights that you have given us. And let's have a Thanksgiving that is more bountiful than the last Thanksgiving for the people in our community who need it the most. Thank you very much.